So in the next coming weeks, we've got the Augusta National Golf Tournament, which is always a fun time here in Augusta. But somebody else might not be having as much fun that's associated with the Augusta National. So Richard Globensky has been sentenced to 1 year in prison this month for transporting stolen Masters tournament memorabilia, including one of Arnold Palmer's green jackets.
My goodness.
Across state lines.
Yeah.
So basically what happened is this guy worked in the Augusta National warehouse. And during his time working there, ends up taking a couple green jackets, a letter from Bobby Jones, some other memorabilia, and sold it.
Yep.
Made a lot of money. Took his family on some Disney trips. Bought some nice luxury items for himself.
That's when I knew he was insane. I saw he spent like $160,000 at Disney World. The man obviously has got some loose screws. If you do that,
my goodness.
Hey, I'll be back in Disney World in 30 days, but I won't be spending that much money.
I'm just saying that's a lot of money to spend. Now, Disney World's expensive.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's $160,000 expensive. So.
And also, that's probably how you got caught.
There you go.
Spending all that money at Disney.
They got caught, I think, one of the ways in which people pull off these types of scams is the way in which they do inventory. So if they just say that T-shirts we have 5 boxes of T-shirts, right?
Yeah.
And he takes 5 boxes of T-shirts into the warehouse, okay?
Yeah.
It doesn't say that there are 35 in each box.
Yeah.
And he might just go and before anybody sees it, take 5 out of each box, and there's 30 in each box now.
And you can also
and
the
he takes
other way
those
you can do it, same as that is that if you're in charge of. If that's your part
inventory,
of your inventory, well,
right.
You're not going to report it missing.
That's right.
So especially the things that like the things that are memorabilia, not necessarily the things they sell in the store. The memorabilia, that's
I don't know how he got away with that.
Yeah, and I think I think he must have been in charge of. Well, but a lot of that's why it's federal too. So we'll keep on about it.
So we'll read. So the U.S. Attorney's Office issued a statement about this, and so I'm going to read from that, and then we'll kind of break down some of the questions that come from this, like you just mentioned, like why it became a federal case instead of a state case. But so Globensky admitted in a plea agreement that he stole the merchandise and memorabilia from 2009 to 2022. God dang, that's a long time to be getting away with something.
Yep.
Which he was while he was employed by the club as a warehouse assistant. The merchandise included master shirts, hats, flags, watches, and other goods, while the memorabilia included historically significant items, such as the green jackets awarded to tournament winners Arnold Palmer, Gene Sarazen, and Ben Hogan. U.S. District Judge Sharon Johnson Coleman ordered Globensky to pay $3,448,842 in restitution to Augusta National. Yep. In addition to...
Yeah, I think that's what Augusta National was after the whole time.
Yeah.
Right, so they might not care if he spends another day in jail, but
you're going to pay us back.
They want the money.
And people are going to say, well, I mean, $3 million. Honestly, you could argue that number's low.
I was just about to say, what is a green jacket worth from Arnold Palmer?
That's what I mean. And I think if it was just, and there's a lot of other reasons that we'll get into about, transferring property and all that. But one of the things that the federal government does is protect these kind of items, and they're going to take interest in it. If it's a cultural significant item, that they're going to protect it. It's like an antique or something. If it was just stolen goods, this might have been a state case. I don't know. But the federal, obviously Augusta National has some superpower. But
that has something to do with it. Yeah, it's Augusta National is different than say like if Lindsey stole some Hawk Law Group T-shirts.
I can promise
Lindsey's probably getting fired. But
the money that they lost from the inventory is a penny to them. It's nothing. But when you steal the green jackets and you steal
and you do it for
Bobby Jones' letter, like those things, they can replace their money. They can't replace that.
Also, don't you think that makes you feel a little stupid? You're Augusta National. How are you going to sneak a green jacket out from
and I know,
when they're not allowed to leave the clubhouse and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we've had cases where people will call us and have a likeness to the Masters logo, and that happens a lot. Yeah, and they come full force on. I'm talking mom and pop stores that are just It's not the Masters logo, but it's close. I mean, they're sending cease and desist to everybody.
Yeah, we had a Golf Augusta here that they shut down because they called it Golf Augusta.
Right.
Right. So.
Yeah. Well, and they also.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know that I looked, there's not like an official sort of rule about your, things you buy at the Masters and reselling them. Mm-hmm. However, I'm sure we've all heard the rumors that they have people specifically employed that go online and either buy their stuff back or they pay attention to who's trying to sell it, and you may lose your badges because of it. Right. So there's a real, especially for us locally, a lot of people outside of this area probably you wouldn't think of that, but around here it's common lore, if you will, to not sell your stuff.
Right. It changes a little bit because it used to be, growing up here, Chase, and I'm right down the road, it was more. A lot of people had badges, and it was more. Now it's a lot more corporate. Yeah. So you got people running in, buying, I don't know, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 worth of stuff, and then running out and then selling it on eBay. Yeah. And so they're looking for those people, and when they find them, like I said, you lose your badge, and that's for life.
It forever. Yeah.
So that's the risk you take. But I think you made a good point. Like, they were embarrassed about it, but my point was that generally they attack so hard prior to any litigation that it solves it. Yeah. And so this one, they knew they were going to take a hit in the public eye, but that's what I mean. If it was not the memorabilia, this guy may have been okay. But when you do that, they're gonna get you.
Yeah. And so why did this become a federal case rather than a state one?
Well, the federal government has purview over cases in which involve transferring things across state lines.
Gotcha.
So whether or not you can prosecute a case or is determined a lot of times about your jurisdiction and whether or not you have jurisdiction over that particular issue. And with the fact that he's transferring these from Georgia to Florida
and Chicago,
right? And then they go out all across the country to different buyers. This is definitely an interstate commerce related issue. That's a power that's given to the federal government by the Constitution. And so the feds are going to come in and have their say on somebody that's violating laws using interstate commerce. So,
and especially you're talking big money and a lot of different. So you could do this. You could still prosecute him in Georgia, and then each and every state that these actions took place. But that's a lot of entities having to talk and having to, and things are getting continued and all this, where the federal government can, since there is, like Jay said, that interstate commerce clause, that they can kind of come over and incorporate all of it into one. Right. But it does bring a good point that we talked about, I believe it was last podcast, is that the state can charge him for theft, burglary, and possession of stolen property. That Georgia can, and all these other states. And so, even though he served a year, I mean, it's probably not going to happen. But you can charge this person with these crimes in state, and they can serve it. And it can be consecutive, meaning it's after you serve this sentence, you do it
start another one.
Yeah. So, and a lot of times you'll see that on, if you lose a state case, then the feds will come up and prosecute that case. It usually doesn't go in reverse. Generally, if the federal government has a criminal case on you, it's already done. Like, the state kind of arrests you and then investigate. The federal government already has everything. As soon as you're arrested, they've already let you go a long time. They've been watching you. We've had that.
They build their case.
We've had that in the office. People come say, I had drugs in the car. A police officer pulled me over and I wasn't arrested. It's like, okay, well, buddy, I got some good news and some bad news.
Right, exactly.